Welcome to the Maumee Valley Whiskey Society. I'm the Bourbon Steward, and today we're kicking off our Bottle and Bond March Madness bracket. Welcome back, everybody. So back in the mid-1800s, rectifiers, much like non-distiller producers today, purchased distillate from other sources. Then they aged it, sometimes for dubious kind of points of time, potentially tinkering with it, finishing it by adding flavors or coloring, and bottling it at varied proofs using arbitrary marketing terms like fine old bourbon or very special, or any variation of those. While a number of rectifiers produced honest-to-goodness whiskey, producers of knockoffs started flooding the market in the late 1800s. Their cheap, easy-to-produce whiskey was often cut with dangerous materials like tobacco spit, acid, and turpentine. That's where we get those old sayings back today, rot gut, going blind from drinking whiskey, because that actually happened. Straight bourbon producers, however, would not let this go on without a fight. And in the late 1890s, they brought the issue to the courts. Colonel E.H. Taylor Jr. was one of these early crusaders to help protect the integrity of American whiskey. That's a name you might recognize from the founder of the old-fashioned copper distillery, and which is now the Buffalo Trace distillery, and the namesake of one of Buffalo Trace's most desirable bottlings. Congress finally passed and President Grover Cleveland signed into law the Bottle and Bond Act on March 3rd, today, 1897. This act ensured that any whiskey bearing the name of Bottle and Bond was produced by the same distiller at the same distillery during the same distilling season, aged for at least 4 years in government bonded warehouse, was unadulterated except for pure water for dilution, and bottle exactly 100 proof. The label also had to identify the distillery where the whiskey was distilled and bottled. This act, however, did not pass without a fight. Some whiskey rectifiers argued this gave distillers an unfair advantage and caused issues for rectifiers who were producing honest products from the barrels of whiskey they bought and bottled. One of these, Isaac Wolf Bernheim, founder of the I.W. Harper brand and namesake of the Bernheim Distillery and Bernheim Original Wheat Whiskey from Heaven Hill, fought vehemently against the passage of legislation. He argued that the art of blending spirits was at risk if this act was passed. And he was right. It actually wasn't until just recently, within the last couple of years, that blending of American whiskey has started to become accepted again. So, in round one, we have Old Forester 1897 Bottle and Bond, the Maddie Gladden Bottle and Bond, 1792 Bottle and Bond, Chattanooga Bottle and Bond, Old Grandad Bottle and J.W. Dant Bottle and Bond. Okay, I have them all poured out. They've been sitting for about 15-20 minutes to get some air. I've completely randomized them. The bottom of the glasses are marked. I don't know which are in which glass. We're going to taste through these, do a simple bracket rating, and see who comes out on top. So glass one. It's pretty good. I mean, these are all Bottle and Bond whiskeys, so you expect them to have some quality. Sweet. Kind of an undescriptive sweet, little nuttiness, caramel, wood, classic, straightforward bourbon nose. Not bad. Little astringent mid-palate. Hits you with a lot of sweetness up front. Little astringent mid-palate. Nice hug setting in, which is which is good for 100 proof whiskey. Go back to the nose. Nose is a little more caramel, a little bit more ethanol coming out on the nose. Overall, it's okay. Let's see, glass 2. Ooh, glass 2 has a much nicer nose. Much sweeter. More of those caramelized wood sugars. Almost like a little bit of a toasted note. Some light, not peanut brittle. Almost like a cashew butter brittle. Much nicer nose. So right away, the palate on glass 2 is much better than glass 1. Actually has some body to it. Those same kind of toasted, sugary oak notes carry forward on the palate. This is really good. All right, that's going to be a contender. That's up there. All right, let's check out glass 3. Okay, not as deep and as a dark as a nose as glass 2, but definitely a little more complex than 1. It's a little brighter of a nose, still sugary. All right, let's get into the palate. Yeah, definitely good. Getting a little stringent leading into the finish. Was hit with a lot of sweet notes up front. A little bit of nuttiness. Almost a little bit of nice kind of sweet oak mid palate. Then it got some astringent kind of almost nail polish notes leading into the finish. That wasn't as enjoyable. I think it may be still better than 1. Definitely not better than 2. 2 by far is a standout so far. Okay, let's get into glass 4. Ooh, this is a much different nose than 4. And this is wild. These are all bottle and bond whiskeys, most of which are bourbons. Not all of them on the list. This is more grain forward. Still sweet. Has a little maltiness to it, like it would a single malt. Not quite as funky and cereally as a single malt, but definitely a little bit of malty grainness to it. Sweetness in the back is more like a sugar covered raisin. All right, let's get into the palate. Yeah, I definitely get that sugar covered raisin. Not as deep and rich as I want with that flavor profile out of something. Doesn't have any astringency. Kind of medium body. Not bad. All right, and glass 5. Wow. There's a nose I want. This is almost like a toasted bourbon. Although we know these are bottle and bond, so it can't be toasted or can't be finished. But this is giving me a lot of those kind of toasted second barrel finished whiskeys with some deeper sweet oak, toasted marshmallow, kind of that vanilla fluff cream. Very good on the nose. It's going to be tough comparable to number 2. So similar notes on the palate, but much flatter, much nuttier than I expected. I was getting a lot of those like toasted marshmallow, vanilla, sweet oak notes on the nose. Still am a little bit. It was much flatter on the palate and much nuttier. Did not expect that. I don't know. The nose really had me excited on that one, and then it kind of fell flat on the palate. As you can tell, I'm tasting through these fairly quick. I'm cutting in with some water, but we have 30 different bottle and bond whiskeys in this bracket. This is just round one. Okay. A little fruitier. This is the first one where I really got some fruit sweetness on the nose. A little bit of slight oak, almost like a younger oak with some fruit sweetness. Okay. Some of that carried over. Again, this kind of fell flat on the palate versus what the nose was giving me. Almost had a little bit of that astringent note leading into the finish. And that's what kind of a common theme with some of these was it would hit sweet up front, give you a little bit of sweet oak, and then kind of go into a nail polish before the finish, which isn't that enjoyable. But I think I think 1, 3, and 6 can kind of be eliminated right away. 2 is just really good. 2 is really good. 4 on the nose now is a lot more kind of grape raisin forward, which is not too bad. 5's almost got like a dry sweetness now. Not quite a nuttiness, like a dry sweetness. Let's try 4. Yeah, 4 just kind of falls flat. Gets a little nutty on the palate. Ooh, a little drying, a little bitter in the finish. I think 4 is going to drop out. I think this is going to come down to 2. Or, I'm sorry, I was talking about 5 before. This is going to come down to 2 and 4. So 4 is definitely a raisin, grape, fruit forward sweetness, and 2 is a nice toasted marshmallow cream, sweet oak forward. And just based on my flavor profiles that I prefer, on the nose, I'm leaning towards 2. Yeah, 2, those same notes carry forward on the palate. It's got pretty good body to it, based on being a 100 proofer. The experience of the pour is more like a 105 to 110 proof. Not that it drinks hot or that it burns any more than 100 proof, but as far as the overall drinking experience, the body of it drinks above its weight class. Now, 4, yeah, 4 is good. That fruit forwardness carries over. It's more of like a cross between. It's not quite a raisin, not as dark. It's not quite as bright as a grape. It's somewhere in between. It's a grape that thinks it wants to be a raisin. The finish is okay. The body's not as good. I think we're going to have to call this one for glass 2. So we'll move that back. It was pretty straightforward. That's how all the rounds are going to be. We have a lot of whiskeys to get through for this. We're going to take the winner from each of the 5 rounds. And then we are going to have a Whiskey Society blind flight night on April 1st to crown the overall winner. Let me get my notes here. And we'll check out. All right, I've got my answer key here. I think if I had to pick, I think glass 1 would be last place. I think glass 6 would be 5th, and then it would be 3, and then 5, then 4, and then 2. So my last place would have been glass number 1. Glass number 1 is number 6. That's shocking. Wow, that's shocking. So in glass 1, which was bottle 6, 1792 Bottle and Bond. That is very surprising. I'm usually a big fan of 1792 products. Usually the small batch. Yeah, this one was coming off with a lot of astringency. So, okay. Next would have been... Okay. Did I lose my... Might have lost my sticker. That's okay. We'll see whichever one is left over. So next place would have been glass 5. Glass 5. Wow. I have some surprises. So glass 5. Old Forester, 1897. Some pretty big hitters going out early. That is actually surprising. So next would have been number 1. Number 1, J.W. Dant, Bottle and Bond. J.W. Dant, out of the running. And this would have been my second place. My runner-up would have been 4. Oh, wow. So 4, I was hoping this was going to do pretty good. This is from Spirits of French Lick. This is the Maddie Gladden. The Maddie Gladden from Spirits of French Lick, coming in as my runner-up. And my winner for the night would have been 3. Holy smokes. 3 Old Granddad Bottle and Bond. Old Granddad Bottle and Bond. I don't know that this is the cheapest in the lineup. The Dant might have been the cheapest, but if not, this would have been second cheapest. And that means that in my 5th place, second to last, and I was really hoping to do better, Chattanooga Bottle and Bond would have been second to last. So that is out. So the Old Granddad Bottle and Bond from Jim Beam Distillery, their high rye mash bill, beats out the Maddie Gladden from Spirits of French Lick. Chattanooga Bottle and Bond beats out 1792 Bottle and Bond, Old Forester 1897, and J.W. Dant. So there you go. Old Granddad Bottle and Bond will be moving on to the finals. Next Friday, we will have round 2 of our March Madness Bottle and Bond bracket. Until next time, cheers.